Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode here in Nonstopnoobph. This is your host, Asar Opisyal. So, for tonight, I will be joined by one of my friends, Elijah Wood, is in the
Good
house.
evening. Hello, hello, Pauper players.
So, what
Thank you
are we
for
gonna
having me.
play tonight, Sir Elijah?
It's a mono blue mirror. I wouldn't say totally a mirror, but it's mono blue terror up against SIMIC Happy Mill. And this is not your typical SIMIC mill, just so you know, for viewers out there. This is quite the mill.
The new build, as we say, yeah.
Yes.
So for the terror deck, it will be handled by Sir JOBERT Paranyal, and for the Simic Mill deck, we have Sir EDMARK TAN. So
Yeah.
both of their sleeves are blue as well.
Blue. Oh my gosh. Oh, we do have a new player, right?
Yeah, this is JOBERT. Okay, so what do we have in the terror deck?
We have Mono Blue Terror, your typical Terror. It's a tempo-based strategy deck. It's I would say, full-on tempo control. You have Delver, Cryptic Serpent, Florian Terror,
But without the
Brainstorm.
the mental note, I see.
Yes, surprisingly, you have Curate.
Okay.
And yes, now the Happy Meal deck. This is quite the deck. It really caught my attention because it's like elves, but leaning towards the mill strategy.
Yeah, it's a tribal advisor.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Okay, so now the
And
die roll. 6 for Edmark and 7 for
seven,
Jobert.
one
First to
point, right?
play for Jobert.
So in this case, I would say Mono Blue is favored.
Yes.
Hopefully, it's favored if he is able to tempo, right? The early turns. So yeah, that's a good sign. His hand, he has two boomerangs, a spell pierce, enough lands to play the spells that
And a
he
counter
needs.
spell.
Yes, the good old staple CS, as like we call
CS,
it. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Okay, Mulligan for Edmark Tan. So please subscribe to our channel so that you'll be updated with the latest upload, which we will upload very, very soon.
Yes, do like, hit the notification button, and
Oh,
subscribe to
yes.
Sir Asar Opisyal's non-stop noob popper gameplay. And I
Yes.
think he's the best popper channel here in the Philippines with popper content weekly.
Yeah, we do our best to cover each weekly tournaments that
Yeah.
we have here so that we can stay updated with the meta. Okay, now
Yeah,
Edmark has his opening hand again. He
I
will
think
roll to
he
six.
mulliganed because it was land heavy.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, he had like four lands in his hand. So yes, there he is going down to one card.
Mm-hmm. So now Jobert will play an island right away and pass the turn. Edmark playing the Glistener Seer. It's a new card. What can we say about this?
It's an advisor. Yeah, I do get the strategy because again we're leaning onto advisor tribal mill. I would say, and it's a good card because its second ability, which is Scry 1. It's important that you always sculpt your library during the early turns, and this is such a valuable card
Yes,
for me.
it is one of the enablers that he has. Okay, just passes the turn again with 2 open mana.
You know
Should
what
be
that
scared.
means. You know what that means. I play red. If your opponent is on blue and he has two open blue mana,
Okay,
you
now the
just gotta
petitioner enters the
the
battlefield
win card.
early in the turn 2. So 3 oil counters are put on the seer. So it's supposed to enter with that, right?
Yeah, because again, like what is stated in the card, it has three oil counters. I don't see any proliferate type of activation whatsoever from any of his creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really going to be used for three turns, but again, it's an advisor.
Yes, it
So it
is.
will trigger the petitioners.
So we saw the entry of the Delver of Secrets on the
Yes!
side of
Delver,
Jobber
my boy!
and the Tangled Islet, the Tapland Forest. island for EDMARK, and another advisor comes in, another Glistener Seer. So this will
And
have
he
a
can
counter
now
as well.
double scry, which is
Double
good.
scry if he chooses to.
Yes.
So the Delver did not flip yet because another Delver shows
Oh,
itself on top of the library.
and
Not yet,
it's not the
not yet.
best. Not the not the ideal start, but you do have two Delvers. So
Yeah, so,
next turn you can swing it for
so he plays
6.
another land right there.
Open 3 land islands. You
Very scary.
yes.
So he removed an oil counter at the end turn of Jobert to
Describe.
scry. So does he like it? He can draw it right away if he does like it.
I think Sir Edmund right now is looking for more advisors to be able to
Oh, he
really.
kept it.
Oh, so maybe it's an
Oh,
advisor.
it's a Seraph
Oh,
Sanctuary. Now this is an intriguing card. Why do you think it's placed there?
my hunch is it's because of the changelings.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the deck list of Sir Edmar, I think 14, 16 cards are changelings. And again, in the text that it says in changelings that it's every card type, so it's
Yes.
considered an angel.
Oh, it
So
transformed. The Delver transformed. Yes.
Thought Scour,
The Thought
another
Scour shows
cantrip
itself.
or
Yeah.
mono blue. It helps sculpt your library.
So
It
as we were
enables,
discussing, the advisors are now already four on
yeah,
the side of Edmark. So he
and I
can
think that's
trigger
why he kept the card.
the attack
But
from the
now he's swinging
Flyers
for 6,
down to
15.
15. So he has no blockers. Now he will trigger the ability of the advisors. So this is
Persistent petitioners. Two to
from
cast, 1/3, right? Ravnica Legions.
mhm.
Am I not?
Yes, I think it's
Mm,
correct.
all right. And tapping for untapped advisors, right? It's quite the card, really. Uh, Milling 12 and just for basically for free, if you
Yes.
think about it.
Now it is in a bit of an advantage for Jobber to mill as much card as possible, but not to mill creatures.
Yes, that's the thing though. If he mills his serpents, it's gonna be a big problem for Jobert
Yeah, because he has
because
no.
his serpents are the closers for his deck.
Yes. So do you see any creatures in his hand now? I
It's
think
mostly
not.
cantrips, counter magic, boomerangs.
And bounce,
Uh,
yeah.
I think Jobert should have played the boomerangs earlier in the game, but
Mm.
yes, he's gonna play one right now
Uh-huh.
to bounce the petitioners, so that Sir Edmark won't be able to activate, of course. But then again,
He can play it another time.
then
He
yeah,
will definitely
that's
play it
you
again.
have that dilemma.
So that's a
So
winding way coming in. Is this
and now
counterable? It's supposed to be countered?
he does have a spell pierce in hand. No, he does. He uses it. All right, I get it
So
because he
that's the
wants
bait.
to filter his mana. But then
That's the
again,
bait. He baited with the winding way so that he can cast the persistent petitioner again. So now the attack from the air for Jobert will take 6 life again from Edmark. So down to 9 for Edmark.
he's still putting pressure on Sir Edmark, which is quite interesting. But then
Okay.
again, you have the ability of the advisor.
Yeah, so before the resolution of the boomerang, he triggered the ability again. So it
Yeah.
has no summoning sickness, so he can trigger that anytime as long as he has 4 advisors in the battlefield. So mill 12 again for Jobert. And those are a lot of
And
creatures.
errors! Oh my goodness! And more serpents. So
More
yeah, like I was
serpents.
saying, it's good if you're milling cantrips, instants, counter magics, and lands. But
Yeah.
if you're milling your win cons, then it,
So I
the
think
sun is not setting.
so half of the milled cards are creatures.
So
So I
he is
think
now relying on his delvers.
but Still, Edmark is down to 9. So the Pond Prophet comes in. This is the new card from the Bloom Borrow set.
It is a frog advisor for 2 to cast. I can be played for red or for green or blue. Sorry, I always think of red. But yeah, it's like Spirited Companion. Spirited Companion
Yeah,
from
because
Kaminion
it's also a
Dynasty.
cantrip. So you
Hmm.
can also draw. So it's also an advisor. So he will
Yes, which
draw
will
from that.
trigger.
So you play another island.
Those are spicy islands, Sir Edmar. Very nice.
Excellent islands. Full arts.
Yes,
So
sir.
now I still have the upper hand in the Miller time because he has 4 advisors on the play. Now the Mask Vandal comes in.
You know what we say when it's like you only have 5 cards to know?
What's that?
Reggie Miller.
Reggie
Never mind.
Miller. Yeah, Reggie Miller time. So he gains 1 life out of that. Why?
Because of the sanctuary again, because changelings are considered as angels.
Angels. They're considered as any creature.
Yeah, they're
So
rats, dogs, slivers.
yeah. So
But
this
he's still going.
yeah, still going for the attack. Down to 4 for Edmark. If he has a galvanic blast, he can just finish off Edmark. But of course,
Hopefully,
it's blue. So
hopefully.
he does the Miller time again.
Reggie
12 cards
Miller.
again
Oh my
for
goodness.
Jobert. So he didn't tap one of the Seers. He'll probably use the Scry ability later.
Yeah,
So
just
those
to
are
get
creatures. I guess
power.
those are all the creatures in the graveyard. Yeah, that's the oil counter removed so that he can scry again. So does he like it? No, he puts it on the bottom. Untapping again for Edmark. Now I don't know how much cards does Jobert have in his library.
Do you want to bet? I feel like it's around 15 to 10
No, I think it's
cards.
enough. If he triggers the
The ability of petitioners, it's
yeah,
over, yeah?
yeah, it's over. So he triggers it again. Jobert
And
showing his cards to Edmark already. Probably it's
those
a sign
thought
of
scourers, I
yeah,
guess.
he will just concede. Milled out.
Reggie
Successfully
Miller.
Miller time. So that was a successful happy meal for Edmark Tan holding its own against the huge serpents. So what can you say about that first game?
More like the serpents became squid balls. Yeah.
Squid balls
And
in the graveyard,
to
probably.
be precise, man, honestly, if you look at game one, you would really think that Mono Blue Terror would have pulled the strings on the early boomerang, spell
Yeah,
pierce, counter spell.
that
But I
should
think
have been.
that was the problem for Jobert. He was playing, I would say, on a safer route rather
Yeah.
than being aggressive with his or tempoing out his opponent.
Yes, and the difference between the old build of the mill deck with the new build of Edmark is that this one has lots of creatures that are very easy to cast and has more value as well.
Yeah,
So also the inclusion of green spells can really ramp up the enablers of Edmark Tan because we can see that he has vitalize as well, so he can untap all the advisors and tap again. So that's gonna be a turbo mill mechanic. So what do you think are the sideboards here for the terror deck?
looking at the sideboard for the Terror, I do think that he can play a mana lake and a stern dismissal because, of course, it helps counter creatures.
Yeah, it
But
can
then
bounce
again,
creatures as well. Huh?
I would say if he had Echoing Truth, which is
Yes,
One
on the
of the
side
best spells,
for
sideboard
blue.
spells. Yes. Against these type of decks, it will really help him in
And for
having.
the mill deck, he probably placed Moment's Peace and Weather the Storm.
But I would love to see Spell Stutter Sprite.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's a good tech as well. So that's a
it's an
counter for him.
interesting tech. But yeah, this is gonna be a battle of who has the advantage in the early turns.
Yes.
Um, so looking at it, Sir Jobert will be on the play, of course, because he lost.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I were him, he really needs to time his spells precisely because a while ago he wasn't. He was just letting Sir Edmark play as much spells as
Yeah,
possible.
he should hold interactions so that he can counter anything
Yes.
that Sir Edmark is putting onto the battlefield. Okay, now game two is upon us. Can Edmark Tan hold the lead over Jobert and eventually get the win?
Or will it be Mono Blue Terror to be able to tie this match? So, how about you, Sir Asar? Who do you think will win this game too?
Well, unexpectedly, Edmark is doing pretty well with the build that he has right now. So we can see that he has a Tormod's creep right.
Oh dear.
But the
Oh.
Delver on turn one is a huge advantage already.
Yeah, because again, Delver helps put pressure on the
Mm-hmm.
opponent,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's the
it's a
tempo right
five
there.
turn clock if you don't, if you don't answer it or respond
Yeah.
to it.
Okay,
But you
so
do.
now the Moth does Changeling. It's a shapeshifter. Changeling as well.
And again, if since it's a changeling, it's an advisor and it's an angel, which triggers the petitioner as well as the sanctuary. But there's
Yes.
there's an important piece here of this card.
Mm-hmm.
It can block Delver.
Yeah. It is flying, right? Okay, now the transformation of the Delver is complete.
Yeah, because of the brainstorm. Again, Delver flips whenever there's an instant or sorcery
He will
on
attack
top.
for 3 on turn 2. So down to 17 for Edmark right
First
away.
blood.
First blood. So the Moth Dust is a 1 to cast Changeling. So that's a very good enabler again as an advisor for Edmark. So that's a staple. That is included in the original build.
I see.
Yeah. So now he casts the Pond Prophet. So that's a draw again for him.
Spirited Companion
Spirited
2.0. Yes.
Companion of the Blue Green Tribal Advisors.
But you know what I'm waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
For him to play, Sir Edward,
Mm-hmm.
is not to the bone.
Not to
If he's
the
able to mill as much creatures,
uh-huh.
it's gonna be an uphill battle for Sir Jobber.
Yeah, he has that in his main board. Two of those, I guess.
Yeah, and again, not to the bone is it has a flashback ability.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you have lots of mana, you can do it right away.
Yeah,
So
but now looking at Sir Jobbert's hand, what do you think should he
I think
play
he has
here?
lots of cantrips right there. And he has two serpents right away. So that's gonna
Ooh,
be a difference. So he just attacks again for 3. So down to 14 for Edmark on turn 3. No blockers, no flyers yet. Another brainstorm comes in.
which will help sculpt the library. Yeah, he
Uh-huh.
needs much cantrips and gas as possible to be able to be ahead of Sir Edmark before
He needs to fill the graveyard right away so that he can eventually get to cast the terrors.
yeah.
So now Edmark on his turn has two advice. No, those are not yet triggerable because there's no persistent petitioners
Petitioners,
yet.
yes.
So he just
But they are
plays.
advisors.
They are
They're wait
advisors.
they're waiting for their ultimate advisor.
Yeah, they're waiting for the payoff. Okay, two cyclings, forest and island cycling.
That's an interesting play.
Interesting play, indeed.
Yes. Fetching two lands at once.
Think he wanted to shuffle his library.
Maybe, maybe. And I think what's interesting to note here is that I think Sir Edmark wants to be ahead in mana
Mm-hmm.
because I think he may be aware that there is boomerang.
Yes.
So he's doing that in case there is a boomerang that is going to
Yeah.
be cast.
So he will attack again. So that's down to 17 for Jobert.
And now Thought
So
Scour.
that will fill the graveyard eventually. And the Lorien revealed will be cycled as well for an island. So it's on top of the library because it was fixed by the brainstorm.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Right?
So we know that the Delver can attack again, and there's no open mana for Edmark.
Yeah, and
This
no
is
blockers
no
because
blockers.
the changeling is tapped. The moth dust changeling.
hmm So he drew a counter spell. So four open
He is now
islands.
counting his graveyard.
Probably
The moment of truth.
the moment of truth. The terrorizers comes in.
Here we go.
So
So
another
five
attack.
five.
So down to 11 for Edmark.
You know what we call them as well?
What?
Terrors.
Mm-hmm.
555 century tunas.
Okay. Because they're five fives, bro.
Yes. All of them are 5/5s. Except for the cryptic serpent.
Yeah, because it's a
Apologies.
serpent. Yeah. So here, there's a serpent drawing the winding way. So is this allowed? Yes, it was allowed. He calls for creatures. So there's the
There's a
sprites.
sprite. Alright.
Good art as well.
Is that Jumpstart, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken?
I think so.
Yeah, it's the anime art of Spell Stutter. But now the question is, will Sir Edmore want to be all in here? Because the pressure is on, and he does not have any way to mill.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, will he risk to block? Is the question, or will he just
Yeah,
take damage?
he probably needs to because he's down to 11 only.
11.
So he plays Stormwood script for free. This should be countered. Okay, counter spell comes in. Now the sprite
Spell
comes in to
Stutter.
counter the counter spell. So is
It's
it
the
legal?
counter
Is it legal?
wars.
Do we have two? Yes, we have because we have another changeling on the field.
Yes, because
Yeah. So
the moth dust changeling is also considered a
a
fairy.
fairy. So the graveyard shall be exiled.
No, so no more reduced costing for the 555 century tunas.
Yes,
So
and
they
the
shall wait.
5/6 serpents. So he still has one serpent on his hand, but he also has the Tolarian Terror on the board already. So that's a huge factor for him.
Yeah, if he plays another serpent, it'll be a big problem.
So now the attacks from the big guy and the flyer will EDMARK TAN block.
Now the thing is, the scenario here, the best scenario for Sir Edmark, if he is able to get the petitioner and at least block the terror, like which we see here now.
No, he blocks
He
the Delver instead.
oh with the
He
sprite,
takes
yes.
the 5.
Apologies.
The 5 damage, no? Oh no.
Does he? Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does. He does. Down to
So
6 for him.
now I think. Oh no, he has a land heavy hand. Is the
Yes,
problem?
I think so. So he plays another island.
Will he play the changeling?
So
He
another
does.
Moth Dust comes in. That will be a blocker, I guess. And the Masked Vandal. But still, he has no persistent petitioner to enable the Miller time. So he has lots of blockers, but he cannot block the one in the air.
I think he has a petitioner in hand. Maybe he's not playing it because of the fact that Jobert has four open islands,
And
which
yes,
is,
he did
and
play that.
yes,
And
you went
the
in.
prediction came true. The counter
Oh,
spell is holding interaction in the hand of Jobber. Another terror comes out of the library. So he has now 5 mana. He attacks again with the
Sir
flyer.
Edmark is forced to block here.
He should block.
Mhm.
He will block the Tolarian Terror, so he will take 3 from the Delver.
Do we see a lightning bolt?
No. So
No, we
another
don't see.
island, just an island in the petitioner. It's okay to play that.
It finally resolves.
So Jobert on his turn has another island drawn from the library and he will attack with both creatures. No flying blockers still, so that I think will be the game for Edmark. Does he have a sprite which he can flash? No, he doesn't have any, so he just scoops game 2.
And that is it.
So that's a problem. If the Tolarian Terror comes into the battlefield as early as turn 4, that's gonna be a huge problem for the Miller Time deck.
Yeah, and like what I said previously, that if Jobert wasn't able to get as much cards in the yard as the early turns between 1 to 4,
Mhm.
he is gonna have a hard time, and especially interacting with Sir Edmark's change.
Yeah, and Edmark also struggled with playing his creatures. And also I think Jobert knows what to counter.
Yeah, compared the first game, he
Yeah.
was debating whether or not what to counter, what should be
Yeah.
countered, what shouldn't. And now this is an interesting match.
Yes.
Game 3.
So we can see Sir Edmark is still putting some cards out of his main deck to the sideboard. He
I think
probably
he put
change
in the
something.
full set of Spell Stutter Sprite.
Probably.
If he does that, then that's
That would be a chance.
indeed, because again, he doesn't have too much interaction
Mhm.
with the mono blue deck.
And those are flyers as well, so it can lock the Delvers eventually. So I think a Jobber did not put anything outside from the Stern Dismissal and Mana Leak.
Mm-hmm.
But we are excited to see if the Not to the Bone or the Weather the Storms will come out of the main board of the library.
Oh, that's gonna be tough
That's gonna be
for sure.
tough. Okay, so please subscribe to our channel. Don't just keep watching. You should also subscribe so that you'll be updated to all the contents that we will upload very, very soon. We will be uploading tons of content of Pauper gameplay that we have in the meta, both new decks and old builds and existing top tier versus lower tier decks. So those are the contents that we will post soon. Okay, an island comes in for Mark. Now the good turn 1, the Glistener Seer.
Yeah, again, it will help him sculpt his library.
And the
And turn 1, Delver. Turn 1 plays right here, right now. Let's see who gets the first blood.
so both of them have very good turn 1.
Yeah.
So he will remove one counter right away so I can filter the
Mhm.
library. Did he like what he saw? He will keep
It,
that and that will be his draw. So why is he tapping again? Why did he tap again?
is he going to scry?
He
No.
plays a Tangled Islet. No, I don't know what happened there, but he tapped the
I
Seer.
think that was a misplay.
I didn't untap.
Yeah, okay, alright, interesting. He
Okay, so
doesn't
the
want two
Delver did
triggers.
not flip, but it will attack because the Seer is still tapped. Now that this is the play that you've been talking
Wait,
about earlier, the boomerang on the land. This is a delay.
yeah, and Boomerang before it was an overlooked card for Mono Blue,
Hmm.
right? People were just sticking into counter magic and as much disruption as possible.
But
But
now,
Boomerang really helps
hmm,
delay the opponent
yes, of
and
course.
stall as much as possible for the Mono Blue Terror.
Yeah, because it can bounce lands as well. So now we can see that the petitioner is in play. So he has two advisors on the play,
He's early at work, he's not late at work.
but still the mana is not enough. So he just passes the turn. Jobert has three open islands. They
Oh
removed the
no.
counter again. So he will draw what he scried. A forest comes in.
Will he play another advisor? Is the question here. And he's playing into open three lands, islands.
But he, if he tries to play an advisor, it will be spell pierce. No. Oh yeah. So the spell pierce will work.
Yeah,
He has
because
it on the
there's
winding way.
very effective, very efficient way to counter.
So another delay from Jobert. What's
And now
this?
he's curate. He's
Curate.
gonna uh, look at the top cards of his library and put it in the graveyard. It's like
Okay, so this is a,
consider, except consider 2.0. So this was printed way back in Strixhaven,
I think this is the substitute for mental note because he
which
can
is which one
scry,
is better
he can
though?
surveil, but I think mental note's still
Still the
faster.
best.
Yeah.
I would recommend though for those blue players out there who can't afford mental note,
Yeah,
you can
because it's
also
very
check out
expensive.
Otherworldly Gaze. Right,
Yeah,
it's a
that's
one to
also good.
cast
It's
blue.
surveil too. So he will surveil and he can return one and he can draw that. So he draws that. The
And he
Delver is
draws Lorian.
he draws Lorien. So the Delver is still up. Oh,
Oh, it's asleep. It's still asleep.
it's
The
still
Delver is still asleep.
still very small and still
Yes.
grounded.
Yes. His parents told him to be quiet. Shh,
Just stay
stay inside your
shushed.
laboratory.
Not yet. No, no,
Not
no
yet.
transformation yet for you.
No fanatical frantics.
Okay,
So
so he
now Sir Edmark is gonna scry.
removes the last counter. Two advisors for Edmark
Hmm.
and three lands for him, while Jobert has four. He plays the Tangled Islet, which was bounced earlier
Yeah, by the boomerang.
by the
So I
Boomerang.
think he does have a petitioner here. Now the question is, does he want to play it,
That's
or
an
is it
interesting
another petition?
decision.
Oh no, it's generous and
I think it's a generous ant.
generous.
Can see that on Jobert's side. So Edmart just passed the turn with no
Which
attack.
isn't a good sign
Hmm.
because he did not play anything.
Just the islet. Oh, a hard cast
Yummy.
by the yummy Lorien revealed. Three valuable draws for Jobert.
You know you can
Turning.
find that in Chowking.
Now the Seraph Sanctuary, the favorite card that we have.
Gain one. Oh no, he
Oh,
played
he played the
Laureate.
Lorien
His own
revealed as
Lorien
well.
reveal. You know what? You know what you call that? It's Laureate.
Laureate.
It's Laureate.
Laureate because it
You guys.
has a lot of value.
Yes. That's why you go to Chowking. Choose a
Yeah.
hard player. Never mind. Never mind. I'm plugging again. But yeah, this is interesting because both players are playing at a very
Slow
yeah, in a
pace.
safe pace.
Yeah.
And Delver hasn't flipped. He's still grounded.
And we know that almost 35 minutes of time already passed.
Oh no.
So they are gonna eventually run out of time if they don't, you know,
Pick up the pace.
pick up the
Yeah.
pace
Oh,
here. So he has lots of lands.
lots of 555 century
555
tuna.
century tunas.
Century tunas. All right.
So
That's
is he gonna return? Did he do a brainstorm? Yes.
yeah. He did.
So he
Hmm.
returned two cards. He
He's now
has the
counting
terrors.
his. Is it castable? Is the question. I think he has 5, 6 spells.
So the
Oh yeah. So
first
he's
one
gonna cast
comes
both.
out, and the
The
second big
second
boy.
one and the third. No, no, no.
Now that's gonna be a problem for Edmark.
That is a 555.
And a stern dismissal to the
So
persistent petitioner. So it will be bounced. So it's like boomerang, just bouncing off everything. A Seraph Sanctuary comes in again, 21 life for Edmark.
that's
So,
gonna be a big deal if he plays a lot of changelings.
mhm,
He'll be able to
gain life.
double, yeah, double
Double
his
gain.
life per turn.
But the problem is the terrors in front of him.
Are terrorizing him.
Mentally and
Yes.
emotionally. So he's having
Oh
trouble deciding which one to play. So the Moth Dust Changelings comes in, so he gains one life out of that. He should gain two life, supposedly.
a miss trigger.
A mistrigger
Yeah.
again.
So it's okay, Sir Edmore.
It's okay. So it's like a leeway for him in favor of Jobert for sure. So the Glistener Seer comes in again with the three oil counters in it. So he taps which one? A blue and a colorless for the persistent petitioner. He just oh, no counter spells for Jobert.
It's a bait.
It's a bait. So now Edmark Tan knows that Jobert has no counter spells. So he just passed the turns.
But he is facing the 555 Century Tuners
Yeah, so is he
that
gonna
are
block?
terrorizing.
Okay, the
And
transformation is
finally,
complete.
it transforms.
So the terror is being accompanied by one flyer.
It is free. He has finally been set free. He's not grounded
Yes.
anymore.
Took long, so it's five to cast. Again, another Lorien revealed
Value of
the Laureate draw.
woo! Spicy, crispy, noodly.
So now the attack, the Alpha Strike from Jobert Paranyal.
That is a two-turn clock. If he does not block that,
So he blocks
I
and activates the ability. So he
yeah.
takes three from the Delver, and Jobert will mill 12 cards before the damage resolves. So those two will go to the graveyard. So now, not to the bone will be very valuable, especially that the creatures are being put to
Isn't
the
that supposed to
graveyard.
be a spoiler? I
Yeah,
feel like
if he has on
if he
his hand,
has, did he draw?
he
Did
draw.
he
He
drew
draw
it? He
forest.
drew.
It is his turn now. So he plays the forest. He has 7 mana to his disposal.
The question is, will he think Sir Jobber
Mm-hmm.
has a counter spell in his hand,
But still,
or is it
Jobert
still
is
a bit?
holding the two open mana on his
Oof.
side.
He's still trying to bait Sir Ed.
Is he just bluffing or does he have a counter spell? But he has four spell pierce on his main board.
With no counters on his hand. So I think it's two lands, a Delver and a Thought Scour, which won't do him any good right now.
So with the mana that Edmark has right now, he can play at least three advisors if he
Mm-hmm.
has. So he plays one petitioner, so that's one. He can play another one if he.
He's looking to play the
So he
Laureate reveal.
taps 5 mana. Probably will Lorien
Correct.
reveal again. No counter spell still.
No,
Oh, so that's just a Thought Scour.
Hot Scour. Just in case he draws a spell pierce, hopefully.
Draw a card.
Oh,
Oh, so Edmark got the mill from the Thought Scour. He was the one targeted by Jobert. Oh, there is a Gnaw to the Bone.
oh no! And a weather the storm. Oh my goodness! This
This is
is
gonna
gonna
be a
be
longer game that we
like
expected. That's 40 minutes on the clock right now. So the Weather the Storm shows itself and together with Gnaw to the Bone. But Edmark has no open mana, so he'll be forced to block again.
mhm.
So the Brainstorm again will filter the library in advance for Jobert.
If I'm Sir Jobber here, I feel like I need to put much pressure on the board as possible before Sir Edmark is able to rally as much advisors
Hmm.
at his disposal. But I have a feeling he wants to fill up his graveyard, Sir Edmark, and use that knot of the bone and the weather.
So he'll just keep blocking.
Yes, precisely. That's the sad
So
part
that's
for Sir
Delver
Jobber.
again comes in. So the attack again for
The
the able
terrorizers will be
creatures
terrorizing the
again.
advisors, and
So
the advisors will be advising the terrorizers.
it will be put to the graveyard eventually. So this will be 13 damage if he does not block. So
If I were
sir,
him, he should just take it.
you just take it.
Be a man.
That's the
No, I'm
brave
kidding.
thing to do.
Yeah.
But let's see what strategy Sir Edmark is thinking about here. He can block with the Seer and trigger the ability.
Hmm.
You can see that he's looking at the generous ant that he has in his hand,
And he's looking at the knot of the bone.
which he cannot
He,
cast yet.
not yet.
So he will block the two big boys, just taking 3 down to 16 for Sir Edmark,
Is this the turn? I feel like this is the
removing the
turn.
oil counter to filter the draw. So he,
It's an
it's a
island.
land. It's an
Nice.
island.
Good draw.
Good, good scry. So what did he get?
I think he drew in.
No, it's a spell stutter sprite, I guess. So there's an island again for EDMARK TAN. He has lots of mana, so he can play the generous ant, which can block the big boys of Sir Jobert.
Mhm. Because it's also a big boy. It's a tree.
It's a tree.
It's a
Oh,
5/7
so
tree.
the generous ant comes in quickly countered.
But, but, but,
So
but.
what will happen now? He has a spell stutter sprite, but no changeling, so he cannot counter the counter spell here.
But he is tapping his mana.
He was thinking
Well,
about it, so that's gonna be one lost chance for Sir Edmark if this resolves. Okay,
he
Weather the
plays
Storm
weather.
comes in. So how many spells came in
That is
before that?
a.
So two counts of storms. So a Thought Scour, milling again, Edmark Tan,
Mhm.
and drawing the Boomerang. So four They counted 4 storm counts, so that's 12 gain life
Oh
for
my.
Edmark. So that's a freebie.
I think three should be the storm count. That's too many storms in one day.
Too many
Uh,
storms, like what's happening right now here in the Philippines. Okay, so that was a 3 life gain freebie for Sir Edmark, but the Delver flips again.
and now the question is, can Sir Jobber pull the strings here? He plays Consider,
Consider
which will help him filter out his library still.
no creatures, no big creatures still.
Ooh!
So all will be attacking. So he blocks and removes a counter so he can scry. So that's the value of the seer. So now all creatures will perish from the side of Edmark Tan. Down to 17 for him. So it's a 2-turn clock for Edmark Tan. But we know that he has Not to the Bone.
And he has more creatures in hand. Is that two not to the bones?
I think so. And a Spell Stutter and a Persistent.
That
So he plays
is.
Persistent Petitioner first. That's a bait.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to see if Jobert has a counterspell.
But he does not.
Now the
And
Knot
now
to the
he
Bone
plays.
enters. What will Jobert do? He has a Brainstorm. Okay, he plays the Brainstorm, hoping for a counterspell.
Did he do it? He
Yeah,
does. He does do it.
he
There
got
is a
one out
counter.
of the Brainstorm.
Now that's gonna be a big
So
deal
he counters
since.
the Not to the Bone, but of course, Not
But
to the Bone
but
has
yeah,
flashback.
that is the
So
problem.
Curate will come in for Jobert, Surveil 2 for him first, and draw a card.
He's
He draws another island, and Not to the Bone will be played from the graveyard for its flashback ability. Now they will count the cards, the creature cards.
gained.
So those are 8
It's
creatures in the graveyard. I
that's
guess
16 life.
gain 16 life for Edmark. Up to 20 to 33.
Whew.
So he can take as much damage again without blocking.
But we do need to note that the time is running out.
Oh, so the boomerang comes in to bounce the petitioner. So
So
this
no
will be,
blockers
yeah, it's an alpha strike again.
for six. He
That
didn't gain as
back
much
to
life.
17.
That was
Just like that, just like that. He's back to 17. So
man,
he'll
those
probably
turns.
cast another Not to the Bone.
There's no more cow. Just islands.
Just
Yes, that's what I
islands.
like for a blue player.
Just
All
islands. Oh, he
islands,
drew a Vitalize. So it will
which
just
will help
resolve. So it
him.
will gain him 8 life again. No, 8 creatures times 2 is 16.
He does have the option to double flashback, but if I were him, he should just let that be.
So up to 33 again. Back to 33 for him. Back to 33 for Edmark Tan. So he's still holding for his dear life against the huge damage from Jobert. Okay, so it's Jobert's turn. We know that he has islands. And he
For
drew an island again,
days.
so he'll just attack. He will just attack.
You know, that's the best hand that I've seen from Sir Jobber.
Oh,
Out of
islands.
really
Okay, so it's
nice.
time's up. 50 minutes have gone.
At last
past them
five
the last five
turns.
turns. That was turn 0 for Jobert, so this is turn 1 for Edmark. So he will flash back on the end turn of. So that's our 9 creatures now. Gain 18 life for him.
It's a lot of life.
Up to 40 for Sir Edmark.
Double the life from Sir Jobber.
So this is turn 1, I guess. Does he have any other
Yeah,
combat
this was turn
tricks?
one.
So the
He
moth
plays
dust
a
comes
changeling.
in and the trigger from the sanctuary. That's what we're talking about earlier.
Double life. You just gotta love it. You gotta
So
love the
that's up
spikes.
to 42 again for Sir Edmark.
You know what you should tell Sir Edmark
Mm-hmm.
if I were there? It's Reggie Miller time.
It's
It's
Reggie
push
Miller.
time.
Should be.
Last
Should
four
have been
turns.
earlier. But still, he is up by 42.
hmm
So now, Jobert has a mana leak.
Yeah,
Another attack.
and he can use that to counter his own spells.
So he plays the Moth Dust, and the Spell Stutter shows itself to block one of the terrors, probably.
Will he play the Mana Leak? Oh my goodness, he'll play the Mana
He'll
Leak.
play the Mana Leak. So he plays the
Interesting.
Mana Leak to counter the Stutter Sprite,
And Sir
but
Edmark
Edmark
is
will
gonna.
pay. That's an interesting sequence right there. So those will be blocked. Taking 6 life from the 42 down to 36 for Sir Edmark Tan.
You
Still
sound like you're back.
unblemished Jobert with 20 life. So that's another forest. So
I
they're
thought you were
just
rapping there
waiting.
for a second. But oh, he has a null. He did drew a null,
He did.
which will help counter a creature. But again, this is quite the beating Sir Edmark has on the board.
Back to 20 for Sir Edmark. Another Spell Stutter Sprite comes in. So that's just a show off for you. And it ended in
And
a
it's a
draw.
draw. No Reggie Miller time.
No Reggie Miller time, but at least we got to see the Reggie Miller time in the first game. So that was a
Yeah,
very fun and insightful game, I should say. So thank you very much.
interesting matchup.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Sir Elijah, for joining me in this coverage. And we hope to see you again soon in the next Paper Pauper Online. So
Yep, definitely. And please do like, share, subscribe to Non-Stop Noob by Asar Opisyal. And again, thank you so much for this content. And thank you for having me, Sir Asar.
yeah, see you again soon and see you all, everyone, for another exciting episode here in Nonstop Noob PH. This has been Asar Opisyal and Sir Elijah Wood for Paper Pauper Online. So see you again soon and keep
Take
grinding.
care, Pauper players.